Would everyone please rise as members of the CBP Field Operations Academy post the colors and continue standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. I'd like to thank the members of the CBP Field Operations Academy for posting the colors. I wanted to welcome everyone to this board meeting that we have. I am happy this is my first board meeting as chair, so I'm very honored to be in this position, and it's great that we have all of our board members that were able to make it back in person, and I'm sure those that weren't are watching, so we appreciate that. Also, this is the 20th anniversary of FLETA, so it's this kind of culminates in this last meeting of this year, so we will be talking about that and celebrating that during this meeting. Mr. Collins, will you please call roll?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Barbuti.
Here.
Colonel Bresser.
Here.
Assistant Director, United States Marshal Service is absent, excused. Captain Brown.
Here.
Mr. Calloway.
Here.
Mr. Cole.
Here.
Ms. Coleman.
Here.
Mr. Curry.
Here.
Ms. Delaney de Leon Colon is absent, excused. Ms. Denton.
Here.
Mr. Dunham is absent, excused. Mr. Henderson.
Here.
Ms. Hunsicker is absent, excused. Ms. Kirby.
Here.
Mr. Kaiser is absent, excused. Mr. LaChance.
Here.
Ms. Lewis.
Here.
Mr. Lombard.
Here.
Assistant Director, United States Secret Service is absent, excused. Mr. Palazzi.
Here.
Dr. Parker is absent, excused. Ms. Payne.
Here.
Ms. Rodini.
Here.
Ms. Seiler.
Here.
Mr. Serker is absent, excused. Mr. Sliwa.
Present.
Mr. Stevenson. Here. Dr. Ward is absent excused. Ma'am, you have a quorum.
Thank you. I would now like to recognize the following new board members. Edward Curry, Assistant Inspector General for Investigations for Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration. Timothy Dunham, Assistant Director, Training Division, Federal Bureau of Investigation. And Benny Henderson, Manager, Federal Reserve Board. I would now like to ask each board member to make a quick introduction.
Colleen Coleman, Defense Counterintelligence and Security Agency.
Good morning, Keith Calloway, Public Member, Illinois Law Enforcement Training Standards Board, Executive Director.
Good morning, Reed Stevenson, Customs and Border Protection's Executive Director of Leadership Development.
Good morning, Robert LaChance, the Department of the Interior.
Good morning, Joe Collins, FLETA Office of Accreditation Executive Director.
Sterling Payne, Transportation Security Administration.
Good morning, Captain Randall Brown, Commander of the Coast Guard's Maritime Law Enforcement Academy.
Good morning, Vince Palazzi, ATF, Deputy Assistant Director, Leadership and Professional Development.
Good morning, Ariana Rodini, Federal Law Enforcement Training Center, Assistant Director, Training Management Operations.
Good morning, Tracy Seiler, U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement, Assistant Director, Office of Leadership and Career Development.
Michael Sliwa, NCIS, Assistant Director, Training and Workforce Development.
Benny Henderson, Federal Reserve Board.
Chuck Lombard, Deputy Assistant Administrator, NASA Office of Protective Services.
Ed Curry, Assistant Inspector General for Investigations, Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration.
A.J. Brasser, Commander of the Department of the Air Force's Office of Special Investigations Academy.
Kelly Lewis, Director, IRS Criminal Investigation National Training Academy.
Mike Barbuti, Special Agent in Charge, DEA Office of Training.
Good morning, Deborah Kirby, Public Member, Vice President Jensen Hughes.
Stephanie Denton, Probation and Pretrial Services Office, Federal Probation Pretrial Training Academy Director.
Good morning, Reg Cole, Deputy Director of Training and Education, United States Army Military Police School.
Thank you. I would like to recognize the following individuals who may be watching online. Lee Norton, Constituent Service Representative, Congressman Buddy Carter's office. Thomas Walters, Director, Federal Law Enforcement Training Centers. Stephanie Dobovich, Deputy Undersecretary for Intelligence Enterprise Operations, Department of Homeland Security Intelligence and Analysis. Kirk Howard, Chief, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. Tay Johnson, Acting Director, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Dane Cray, Section Chief, Drug Enforcement Administration. Matt Tracy, Chief Security Officer, Bureau of Reclamation. Vincent Fisher, Assistant Deputy Administrator for the Office of Secure Transportation, National Nuclear Safety Administration. Mark Egren, Manager, Office of Training and Resources, Office of Secure Transportation, National Nuclear Security Administration. And Scott Rogers, Director, Office of Secure Transportation Training Command, National Nuclear Administration, Security Administration. Okay. Since our last meeting, the following people have departed the board. Mr. Brent Brosho, United States Marshal Service, and Anthony Ornato, United States Secret Service. In addition, this will be the final board meeting for Mr. Reginald Cole, United States Army Military Police School, Sean Circuit, Foreign Affairs Security Training Center for Department of State, and Vincent Palazzi, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. For those of you attending this meeting virtually, please send an email to Stephanie Archibald Massey of the Office of Accreditation so we have a record of your attendance, even if you were only in attendance for part of the meeting. We'll now move on. In your board materials at the meeting reports folder is the meeting report from the April 21st, 2022, which is conducted virtually due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It's attachment 1. May I have a motion to accept this report?
So moved.
Second? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We'll now discuss committee reports. The Executive Committee met twice this year, on June 29th and July 13th. The primary topic was making the decision of how to run this November 2022 board meeting, virtually or in person. Copies of these reports are in your board materials at the meeting reports folder. One board committee met, the Bylaws Committee. It met virtually on October 26, 2022, to conduct business in preparation for this board meeting. The report from that committee will be made by its chairman. I'd like to ask Captain Randall Brown for the report from the Bylaws Committee.
Good morning. On the 26th of October, the FLETA Bylaws Committee meeting met. The meeting was called to order, roll was taken, and everyone was present with the exception of one member, and the U.S. Secret Service board member had not been officially named yet. The order of business was to determine a procedural name change in the bylaws where the organization currently listed as the Federal Probation and Pretrial Academy needs to be updated to read Probation and Pretrial Service Office, PPSO. There were no objections to this change. There were no additional business conducted at the committee meeting, and the meeting was adjourned. Madam Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you. May I have a motion to accept the Bylaws Committee report? So moved. A second? Second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? The motion carries. During this meeting, the Team Leader Recognition Award will be presented. Following this meeting, the Office of Accreditation will solicit nominees for the Team Leader and Agency Leadership Recognition Awards for next year for awarding at the November 2023 board meeting. You will see information on the criteria and deadlines for those awards at a later date. We'll now move on to general reports. On Tuesday, the full board met in executive session to discuss the FLETA budget, review operational requirements, and discuss future business. Also on Tuesday, the FLETA board was provided training by the members of the OA staff. I'd now like to call on Joe Collins to provide the Office of Accreditation updates.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. The Office of Accreditation updates are as follows. After this meeting, we will have 16 accredited academies and 96 accredited programs. Other items of note are located in your Office of Accreditation folder in your board materials. We discussed the future FLETA board meetings. We expect our next meeting to begin on Tuesday, May 9th, and conclude on Thursday, May 11th, 2023. The goal is to have an in-person meeting for all. The proposed location is to be determined. At this point, we would like to acknowledge the annual reports received since the last board meeting. The list of those reports is located in the annual reports folder in your board materials, and the actual reports are available for additional review upon request by board members. Ma'am, that concludes my report.
Thank you. On Monday, October 24th, Mr. Collins and I met with the FLEAC by telephone. We discussed several topics which included the OA rollout of FLETA's Accreditation and Training Management System, ATMS. We discussed the future process for FLETA assessments, and we discussed the May 2023 board meeting. We also had a question and answer period, and it was a very brief discussion afterwards. I'd now like to call upon Joe Collins to provide a report on behalf of Sherry Allen, the FLEAC chair, for the FLEAC update.
Thank you, ma'am. And Sherry, if you're listening, we apologize for any problems that you had in dialing in, so we appreciate you sending this report. Chairperson, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to provide some feedback on the activities of the FLEAC. FLEAC conducted its regularly scheduled business meeting at 1 p.m. Eastern Time on Monday, October 24, 2022. As the FLEAC chair, I presided. The business included the following. The OA and board addressed the FLEAC. FLETA Board Chair, Ms. Payne, and FLETA Executive Director, Mr. Collins, addressed the coalition and asked if there were any questions. Mr. Collins briefed on the FLETA 20th anniversary news releases, the next FLETA meeting, FLETA OA ACADIS implementation status, the executive order for accreditation mandate, and discussed the issues of technology challenges for agencies for in-person, virtual, or blended assessments. During the question and answer session, there was much debate concerning in-person, virtual, and blended assessments moving forward. The committee reports of the FLEAC. Bylaws. Mr. Timothy Standish stated a draft of the new bylaws was sent out and he had not received much feedback. There were several ideas concerning how to conduct quorum and voting standards. Due to the inability to have a quorum, no votes were made. Mr. Standish agreed that the committee would work together to send out a survey to ask for further feedback from the coalition. Membership. Ms. Natasha Harris reported we have currently 79 members. Ms. Harris also asked that all members to verify the roster's accuracy. The training. Mr. Philip Weston reported that a meeting was held in August to discuss ideas for potential training topics of value to the FLEAC community. A short list of ideas was created and will be included in the upcoming bylaws survey for FLEAC membership and consideration. Training subcommittee would like to resume in-person training offerings in conjunction with the spring sessions of the FLETA board meeting. The communications, reaccreditation, and standards committees had nothing new to report. Under old business for the FLEAC, nothing was discussed for old business. Under new business, the FLEAC received no new nominations for secretary or chair positions. However, in accordance with the bylaws, these positions can be extended for a second term. Both Rhonda Meehan and I, Ms. Sherry Allen, had agreed to a second term. Secretary Rhonda Meehan and Standards Committee Julie Altman had discussed swapping positions but realized it was not authorized due to those current bylaws. Request for the coalition for volunteers for positions was made. Latrina Pascal, Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration, agreed to volunteer for the training subcommittee. The meeting was adjourned at approximately 1:35 p.m. Eastern Time. Ma'am, that is the report submitted by the FLEAC Chair, Ms. Sherry Allen.
Thank you, Joe. We'll now move on to regular business. First, we'll discuss the FLETA budget for 2022. The board met and we discussed the three separate budgets, the LET budget, the XSE, and that's correct. And then we also discussed the new system that I mentioned, the ATMS, that the OA has put together and established. We also discussed FLETA expenditure projections through 2027. For board meetings, we discussed that the next FLETA board meeting will be May 9th through 11th, 2023. The board also discussed format and considerations for the next meeting. As Mr. Collins mentions, the goal is to have in-person meetings for all in May. Now we'll move to old business. During this meeting, the board continued discussions and information sharing on policing reform changes that are occurring and currently potentially to be occurring in the future. The board was briefed on the current status of the DHS Basic Training Accreditation Improvement Act of 2021, House Bill 5616. Since its passage in the House, there has been no further action on this bill. Now for new business. The board reviewed the composition of the board and the 9 board terms that are due to expire September 30th, 2023. In accordance with the bylaws, the executive secretary will coordinate with the current board members to obtain a letter for continued participation on the board. Also under new business, as we mentioned at the beginning, it is the 20th anniversary of FLETA. And Joe and I will both cover this one. So Joe, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. We received a letter from President Joe Biden recognizing the occasion of the FLETA 20th anniversary, which should be displayed for everyone on your screen right now. In addition, we also received a proclamation from Georgia Congressman Earl Buddy Carter for the 20th anniversary as well. In addition, the FLETA 20th anniversary video has been completed, and it will be shown at the end of this meeting, so please stay tuned as we adjourn the meeting this morning. In addition, the FLETA Office of Accreditation did author and send out press releases to all participating training organizations. We hope that you use them to promote your involvement with FLETA, and we are pleased to see that several organizations have already done so. In addition, under new business, we did discuss the executive order on advancing effective, accountable policing and criminal justice practices to enhance public trust and public safety. This executive order was signed by President Biden on May 25th of 2022. Section 19 of this executive order does discuss the establishment of accreditation standards. The OA will be working with appropriate stakeholders to determine how this executive order will impact any FLETA operations and our participants. and we will also continue to analyze any policing reform initiatives. Ma'am?
Thank you, Joe. Is there any other new business for discussion? Very well. Now on to the fun part. We're going to discuss the Team Leader Recognition Award for 2022. The FLETA process would not work without the teams that volunteered their time to go out on behalf of this board and assess the programs and academies for compliance with our standards. A critical link between the FLETA board and the assessment teams are those individuals who volunteer to serve as team leads. The team lead is a single person who manages the assessors and the OJT assessors throughout the process, from the moment that the Office of Accreditation sends out the notice to the time they present their findings to the board during the board review committee. The team leader not only manages and oversees the process, team leaders serve as mentors. They coordinate and negotiate with the agency and represent the professionalism and excellence of the FLETA process in everything that they do. The team lead is the unsung hero of the FLETA process, and that is why the FLETA board created the Team Leader Recognition Award to recognize professionalism, dedication, and service of our team leaders. On behalf of the FLETA board, I am pleased to recognize the recipient of the 2022 Team Leader Recognition Award, Darren Brown from the Transportation Security Administration Training Center. The OA will seek nominations for the 2023 Team Leader Recognition Award in the next several months. The nominees will be considered at the FLETA board meeting in the spring and will be awarded next November. As you may recall, the FLETA board voted to adjust the team leader and assessor recognition process. This process was established to formally recognize team leaders and assessors for their continued support to the FLETA assessment process. To receive recognition, each person must complete at least 3 FLETA assessments as a team leader or assessor. For this meeting, we have 2 team leader certificates and 5 assessor certificates to include. As we mentioned earlier, it is a vital process, and these are volunteers who go out and make these assessments on behalf of the OA and the board. I'd like to recognize the following team leaders: Natasha Fulmore Harris from DEA, Patrick Rudiger from the Department of Veterans Affairs, the OA will make arrangements for you to receive your certificates. I would like to recognize the following assessors: Donald Biddle from DCSA, Richard Codis from United States Marshal Service, Nathan Maypole, Defense Counterintelligence and Security Agency, Stephen Puccetti from VA, and Daniel Watson from the United States Coast Guard. Again, the OA will make arrangements for you to receive your certificates. Congratulations. At this time, we would like to thank each team member and assessor individually. We know some are not able to attend this meeting, but we'd like to recognize them for their work by calling out their names publicly. I would like to call upon I just promoted you. I'd like to call upon Mr. Robert LaChance, who will introduce each team member. Please hold all your applause until the last name is read.
Sherry Allen, VA. Julie Altman, FLETC. Lisa Back, FBI. Donald Biddle, DCSA. Linda Brasini, TSA. Wade Brashear, ATF. Darren Brown, TSA. Heather Brown, DCSA. Tammy Bidaway, FBI. Lisa Crowder, FBI. Thomas Flanagan, FLETC. Stephen Golden, ICE. Adam Harper, FLETC. Natasha Fulmore Harris, DEA. Brian Hudson, USC. Richard Codis, USMS. Nathan Maypole, DCSA. Catherine McClellan, FLETSI. Rhonda Meehan, DCSA. Michelle Monju, USPIS. Latrina Pascal, TIGTA. Dr. Cynthia Pixley, FBI. Stephen Pichetti, VA. James Riley, U.S. Army MPS. Michael Robinson, DHS. Patrick Rudiger, VA. Mike Sicard, U.S. Coast Guard. Dr. Molly Wankel, TSA. Daniel Watson, U.S. Coast Guard. Philip Weston, FLETSI. Elaine Wilson Harrison, ATF. And John Robluski, TSA.
Thank you. We will now receive the Board Review Committee reports and award FLETA accreditation. Photos of your certificates will be shown after the awarding of accreditation. We would ask that if you have the opportunity, please take a photo of your staff with the certificate once you receive it and forward a copy of that photo to the OA for historic purposes. During this cycle, there were 3 board review committees. I would like to call upon First Vice Chair Robert LaChance to introduce the presenters and agencies receiving accreditation.
I would like to recognize Board Review Committee A, led by myself, along with board members Stephanie Denton, Ariana Rodini, Vincent Palazzi, Deborah Kirby, and Colleen Coleman. This committee reviewed 1 program for initial accreditation and 1 academy and 3 programs for reaccreditation. They were assisted by FLETA OA Program Manager Christiana Halsey. I would now like to call up Colleen Coleman to recognize the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration.
Thank you, Mr. LaChance. Good morning. I had the honor of leading the review for the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration National Training Center Drug Interdiction Assistance Program. I want to thank the team members for a thorough and well-written report and team leader Natasha Former-Harris for your briefing. I also like to thank the agency and Ben Warner for a job well done with his presentation to the board. This is DIAP's initial accreditation. The dates of the remote assessment were June 14th through 16th, 2022. The purpose of the program is to provide assistance to law enforcement agencies in detecting illegal drug, weapon, and human traffickers. The training provides law enforcement personnel with information, tactics, and techniques to aid in identifying and apprehending traffickers. DIAP is 3 instructional days and conducted in Arlington, Virginia. The agency effectively answered the board's questions during the review. I am pleased to announce that the board has agreed to award accreditation for the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration National Training Center Drug Interdiction Assistance Program. Congratulations.
Thank you. Now I'd like to call upon Stephanie Denton to recognize the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration.
Good morning, everyone. I had the honor of leading the review for the first reaccreditation for the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration General Hazardous Materials course. I want to thank the team members for a thorough and well-written report and team lead Jim Riley for your briefing. I would also like to thank the agency for their presentation to the board. Well done. The Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration General Hazardous Materials course is a residential program conducted at the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration in Vienna, Virginia. Some mobile training was conducted across the United States. The program is a 5-day program consisting of 40 hours of instruction. The purpose of the training is to provide instruction on the laws and organizations responsible for the regulation of the transportation of hazardous materials. This course is designed to train personnel to inspect hazardous material shipments for compliance with hazardous materials regulations. The dates of the remote assessment were August 23rd through the 25th, 2022, and they were last awarded accreditation on April 19th, 2018. I am pleased to announce that the board has agreed to award reaccreditation to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration General Hazardous Materials course. Congratulations.
Thank you. I would now like to call upon Vincent Palazzi to recognize the United States Army Military Police School.
Thank you, and good morning, everybody. I had the honor of leading the review for the first reaccreditation for the United States Army Military Police School Military Police Basic Officer Leader course. I want to thank the assessment team members for a thorough and well-written report, and team leader Dr. Cynthia Pixley for your detailed briefing. I'd also like to thank Accreditation Manager Jim Riley and his team at the U.S. Army Military Police School for their comprehensive presentation to the board. This program received initial accreditation April 2018, and prior to this assessment, the last comprehensive review was July 2021. The purpose of this training program is to prepare newly commissioned military police officers with the technical, tactical, and leadership qualities necessary to be successful platoon leaders in both the combat and garrison environments. This training consists of 883 hours and 86 instructional days in technical, tactical, law enforcement, and leadership skills, military ethics, and customs and traditions of the service, designed to create the competencies needed for the student to demonstrate a thorough understanding of the Army values. Students are evaluated through 5 written exams, 8 practical exercises, and must score a minimum of 70% on the exams and meet the set standards for each practical exercise. 10 iterations of this training are held annually, consisting of 45 students per iteration. Over the past 5 years, there have been 49 iterations held totaling 2,000 graduates. All training is conducted at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. A thorough FLETA assessment was conducted using FLETA procedures and standards, and I am pleased to announce that the board has agreed to award accreditation to the United States Army Military Police School Military Police Basic Officer Leader course. Congratulations.
Thank you. I would like to call upon Deborah Kirby to recognize the United States Army Military Police School.
Good morning. I had the honor of leading the review for the United States Army Military Police School, U.S. Army Civilian Police Academy. I want to thank the team members for a thorough and well-written report, and team leader Dr. Molly Winkle for your briefing. I'd also like to thank the agency and Mr. Riley for the presentation to the board. It was informative and reflects their commitment to accreditation, and that this was the 3rd reaccreditation for this program. This program trains the Department of the Army Civilian Police in force protection and law enforcement skills, tactics, techniques, and procedures required for success as civilian police officers. This training occurs with the U.S. Army Military Police School, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. It averages students in a program of 35. Over 5 years, there have been over 1,000 students trained. The program length is 50 instructional days and consists of 440 hours of instruction. There are 6 exams and 23 practical exercises. During the presentation, we learned of a good practice by this program where remediation occurs. Not only is the student allowed to immediately understand what the error was, but they are also able to compete and rescore under a new instructor with observation from program witnesses. We felt that this was a nice practice. After this review and presentation, I am pleased to announce that the board has agreed to award accreditation to the United States Army Military Police School, U.S. Army Civilian Police Academy. Congratulations.
Thank you. I would like to call upon Ariana Rodini to recognize the United States Army Military Police School.
Thank you and good morning. I had the honor of leading the review for the United States Army Military Police School for its Academy 3rd reaccreditation. The assessment was conducted July 26th through the 28th, 2022, by a blended assessment team, both virtual and in person. I want to thank the team members, Dr. Cynthia Pixley of the FBI, Elaine Wilson of the ATF, and team leader Stephen Golden of ICE for the thorough briefing and well-written report of assessment. I'd also like to recognize Mr. Riley and thank the agency for their presentation to the board. The United States Army Military Police School Training Academy is the United States Army's law enforcement center that trains over 20,000 students annually in basic and advanced law enforcement practices and processes, criminal investigations, and corrections. The USAMS moved to Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri in 1999, and when this occurred, USAMS was able to redesign and build all new training facilities to support their corrections, law enforcement, and criminal investigation training programs under one umbrella. The United States Military Police School was last awarded accreditation on April 27, 2017, and for this academy reaccreditation, the USAMS provided evidence from 5 training programs to demonstrate compliance with FLETA standards. Only one of the 5 training programs presented is FLETA accredited, thus showing the impact of academy accreditation across multiple training programs and not just those that have historically been FLETA assessed. A thorough FLETA assessment was conducted using FLETA procedures and standards. The assessment team reviewed all proofs of compliance, which included the policies, procedures, supporting evidence, and operations associated with the United States Army Military Police School. At the conclusion of the assessment, the team found the academy met the requirements as outlined in the FLETA Procedures and Standards Manual, and I'm pleased to announce that the board has agreed to award the United States Army Military Police School for Academy reaccreditation. Again, congratulations.
Thank you. I would like to recognize Board Review Committee B, led by Reed Stevenson. Board members included Colonel A.J. Brasier, Edward Curry, Charles Lombard, and Tracy Seiler. This committee reviewed 3 programs for initial accreditation and 2 programs for reaccreditation. They were assisted by FLETA OA Program Manager Jennifer Casper. I would like to call upon Colonel A.J. Brasier to recognize the United States Navy.
Thank you, Mr. LaChance, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I had the honor to lead the initial accreditation inspection review of the United States Navy's Master-at-Arms A School. I want to thank the inspection team members for a thorough and well-written report, and team leader Ms. Rhonda Meehan from DCSA for your briefing to the committee yesterday. I would also like to thank the United States Navy's Master-at-Arms A School for their interest in pursuing initial accreditation, presentation to the board, and answering all of our questions. This program consists of 35 training days with a total of 288 hours of instruction. The training is held at the Naval Technical Training Center, Lackland Air Force Base, San Antonio, Texas. The purpose of the course is to teach knowledge and skills needed to perform the duties and responsibilities of a United States Navy Master-at-Arms. As such, the program includes instruction on the employment of OC spray, small arms live fire of the service pistol, service shotgun, and service rifle. Additionally, attendees receive training in anti-terrorism, security reaction force, and numerous other security procedures as they pertain to the duties of the United States Security Forces. After this review, I am pleased to announce the board agreed to award accreditation to the United States Navy's Master-at-Arms A School. Congratulations.
I would like to call upon Reed Stevenson to recognize the Transportation Security Administration.
Thank you and good morning. I had the honor of leading the review of the Transportation Security Administration K-9 Training Center Passenger Screening K-9 Handler course. I want to thank the team members for a thorough and well-written report, and specifically team leader Pat Rudiger for your briefing. I'd also like to thank the agency for their presentation and answering all of our questions. The CTC and the Passenger Screening K-9 Handler course is located at Joint Base San Antonio, Lackland, Texas. The purpose is to train new K-9 handlers to train and handle a K-9 in all aspects of explosives detection in operational environments. The course is 80 days long. It is noteworthy that this program is the largest K-9 explosive detection training program in the country. I'm pleased to announce that the board has agreed to award accreditation to the Transportation Security Administration's K-9 Training Center Passenger Screening K-9 Handler course. Congratulations.
I would like to call upon Edward Curry to recognize the United States Marine Corps.
Good morning. I had the honor of leading the review for the United States Marine Corps Military Police Instruction Company Military Police Officer Basic Course. FLETA assessment team reviewed the Military Police Officer Basic Course for its initial accreditation. I want to thank the team members for a thorough and well-written report, and team leader Dr. Molly Wankel for your briefing. I would also like to thank the United States Marine Corps Military Police Instruction Company for their presentation to the board, especially Major Jacob Rittenhouse, Captain Adam Durkham, and Deputy Director Tommy Bibb. The purpose and the goal of the program is to provide a foundational, initial, and entry-level law enforcement training and military occupational specialty qualification for United States Marine Corps MOS 5803, military police officer. The course consisted of traditional classroom instruction involving informal lecture, guided discussions, case studies, and peer teaching. The course uses the application of labs and directed studies of law enforcement practices, including emergency vehicle operations, safety dynamic detailed weapons applications, armed, unarmed self-defense apprehension techniques, and patrol response procedures. And the course also includes a series of written examinations and practical exercises throughout the course that must be passed. The Military Police Officer Basic Program is 70 instructional days and consists of 560 hours of instruction. It is taught at the United States Marine Corps Military Police School, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. I am pleased to announce that the board has agreed to award accreditation to the United States Marine Corps Military Police Instruction Company Military Police Officer Basic Course.
I call upon Tracy Seiler to recognize the United States Marine Corps.
Thank you, Mr. LaChance, and good morning again, everyone. I had the honor to lead the review for the United States Marine Corps Police Academy Basic Police Officer course, also known as BPOC. I want to thank the team members for a thorough and well-written report, specifically team leader Mr. Jerry Wade Brashear for ATF for his briefing. I also would like to thank the Marine Corps Police Academy for their presentation to the board. The Marine Corps Police Academy trains Air Force Security Force personnel as well as Marine Corps police officers for 15 Marine Corps installations. The Marine Corps developed the BPOC to provide training and support of the Marine Corps' civilian law enforcement program, and this is a program that was initiated in 2005 to enhance security and police services for the Marine Corps. The BPOC is designed to create the competencies needed for the student to perform Marine Corps installation law enforcement duties. The curriculum for the course was developed in accordance with the Department of Defense minimum training standards for law enforcement, and it includes 13 functional areas of basic law. This includes classroom instruction, laboratories, graded practical exercises, written examination, performance examinations, physical fitness training, homework, and final, a law enforcement exercise. The course occurs at the Marine Corps Police Academy, which is at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. The average class size is 19. The course length is 60 days and 476 hours. The course has a 92% completion rate. I am pleased to announce that the board has agreed to award second reaccreditation to the United States Marine Corps Marine Corps Police Academy Base Police Officer course. Congratulations.
I call upon Charles Lombard Jr. to recognize Transportation Security Administration Training Center.
Thank you and good morning. I had the honor of leading a review of the Transportation Security Administrative Training Center's Control Tactics Instructor Program The dates of the assessments were June 7th through 9th, 2022. This was initially scheduled to be a blended virtual and on-site assessment, but due to the rise in COVID, we had to revert to a fully remote assessment. And I give credit to the TSA team for adapting to quickly and leveraging technology to provide visual tours for the assessment team so they fully could comprehend what the facility was looked like, and as far as all other parts of the assessment where eyes on was greatly appreciated. I want to thank team lead, Dr. Pixley, and team members, Brian Hudson, Adam Harper, and Jerry Hadley, for their well-written report. And Dr. Pixley, thank you for your very comprehensive briefing to the board. I'd also like to thank Mr. Brown for his and other TSA team members for their very informative briefing to the board. The purpose of the program is to train field office instructors in the proper instruction of control tactics, crew member self-defense techniques during the dynamic use of force. The student instructors will learn how to instruct all control tactics, techniques, and self-defense through the explain, demonstrate, imitate, and practice methodology. The program is 10 instructional days with 80 hours of instruction. It's conducted at TSA Training Center in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and the average number of students in the class is 12. I am pleased to announce the board has agreed to award the reaccreditation of the Transportation Security Administration for its Control Tactics Instructors Training Program. Congratulations.
Thank you. I would like to recognize Board Review Committee C, led by Sean Serker. Board members included Reginald Cole Sr., Captain Randall Brown, Kelly Lewis, Keith Calloway, Michael Barbuti, and Benny Henderson. This committee reviewed one program for initial accreditation and one academy and 3 programs for reaccreditation. They were assisted by FLETA OA Program Manager, J.J. Hensley. I would like to call upon Reginald Cole Sr. to recognize the National Nuclear Security Administration.
Thank you, Mr. LaChance. Good morning, everyone. I had the honor of leading the review of the National Nuclear Security Administration Nuclear Materials Courier Basic Course for initial accreditation. I want to thank team members Tom Flanagan from FLETA and Michael Robinson from DHS for a very well-written and comprehensive report, and team leader Darren Brown from TSA for your briefing. I'd also like to thank the agency for their presentation to the board review committee. The NNSA NMCB course provides new federal agent candidates with firearms, driving, communications, law enforcement, and tactical skills required to perform the functions of their position. The course is 80 instructional days and consists of 773 hours of instruction, and it is conducted at the NNSA Training Command at Fort Chaffee, Arkansas. Students must complete a combination of 17 comprehensive written and practical exams in order to successfully complete the course. The FLETA assessment team conducted a very thorough review of the NMCB course and concluded that the course met all requirements in accordance with the FLETA Procedures and Standards Manual. I am very pleased to announce that the board has agreed to award initial accreditation to the National Nuclear Security Administration Nuclear Materials Courier Basic Course. Congratulations.
I call upon Keith Calloway to recognize the Defense Counterintelligence and Security Agency.
Thank you, sir, and good morning. I had the honor of leading a review for the Defense Counterintelligence and Security Agency, Center for Development of Security Excellence, Background Investigations Training Division, Federal Background Investigator Training Program. I'd like to thank the team members for a thorough and well-written report, and team leader Julie Altman for your briefing. I'd also like to thank the agency for the presentation to the board. The FBITP is a preparatory program required for personnel who conduct background investigations for the federal government. The FBITP was converted from a 5-week instructor-led classroom program to its current iteration as an 8-week virtual instructor-led program conducted entirely online via an approved virtual platform. The FLETA assessment team conducted a thorough review of the accreditation files. At the conclusion of the assessment, the team found the FBITP met the requirements as outlined in the FLETA Procedures and Standards Manual. I am pleased to announce that the board has agreed to award reaccreditation to the Defense Counterintelligence and Security Agency, Center for the Development of Security Excellence, Background Investigations Training Division, Federal Background Investigators Training Program. Congratulations.
I'd like to call upon Captain Randall Brown to recognize the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
Good morning and thank you. I had the honor of leading the review of the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement and Removal Operations Training Division Basic Immigration Enforcement Training Program. First, I want to thank team members for a thorough and well-written report, and specifically team leader Ms. Rhonda Meehan for your briefing. I'd also like to thank the entire team from the U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement and Removal Operations for the presentation to the board, as well as their outstanding stewardship and maintenance of this program since its initial accreditation. This course is a basic training program that was developed in 2015 and received initial FLETA accreditation in 2017. The program is integrated with the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Glencoe, Georgia, and students receive training in immigration law, firearms, defense tactics, arrest techniques, and driving through a series of lectures, laboratories, practical exercise, and written exams over a period of 17 weeks. The average number of students in the program is 24, and over 1,000 students have graduated from the program. I am pleased to announce that the board has agreed to award reaccreditation for the United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement and Removal Operations Training Division Basic Immigration Enforcement Training Program. Congratulations.
Thank you. I would like to call upon Kelly Lewis to recognize the Homeland Security Investigations.
Good morning. I had the honor of leading the review for the Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent Training Program for their first reaccreditation. I want to thank the team members for a thorough and well-written report and team leader Lisa Back for your briefing. I'd also like to thank the agency for their presentation to the board. The assessment took place on August 16th through 18th, 2022. This program was initially accredited in 2017. The program is 67 training days, encompassing 536 training hours. The class is typically 24 students and is held at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Glencoe. The purpose of this program is to deliver and develop a professional training program to provide HSI employees with knowledge, skills, and abilities essential to HSI's national security and law enforcement mission. During the review, the testing and evaluation standards and instructor training standards were discussed. Students are evaluated through 4 written examinations, 9 practical exercises, 14 phases of continuing case investigation, and 2 physical fitness exams. During the assessment, a model practice relating to the Curriculum Development Guide was identified. The Curriculum Development Guide was written as an introduction to the analysis, design, development, implementation, and evaluation ADDIE model of training. The guide was streamlined and included practical tools for designing, observing, and evaluating a training session. The Curriculum Development Guide was written in such a way it could easily lend itself as a sample template for other training programs to adopt and tailor to their needs. At the conclusion of the assessment, the team found that the Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent Training Program met the requirements as outlined in the FLETA Procedures and Standards Manual. I am pleased to announce that the board has agreed to award reaccreditation to the Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent Training Program.
I call upon Michael Barbuti to recognize NASA's Protective Service Training Academy.
Good morning. I had the honor of leading the review for the first reaccreditation of the NASA Protective Services Training Academy. This remote assessment was conducted from August 23rd through August 25th, 2022. I want to thank the team members for a thorough and well-written report and team leader Wade Brashear for your briefing. I'd also like to thank the agency, and in particular, Accreditation Manager Lakeisha Matthew Williams and Academy Director Keith Costa for their presentation to the board. The NASA Protective Services Training Academy, or NPSTA, is located at Kennedy Space Center, Florida, and its mission is to teach realistic criminal justice, defensive tactics, firearms, ethics, and professional development courses while providing comprehensive quality training and education programs for all armed civil servant and contractor personnel within the agency. While the NPSTA provides annual continuing education and other training, its main function is to conduct the 4-week Federal Arrest Authority Basic Training Course, which was the program reviewed for this assessment. It should be noted that during this reaccreditation period, NPSTA instructors also traveled to 13 other NASA centers to conduct the Federal Arrest Authority Basic Course. Over the course of the reaccreditation period, the agency self-reported one corrective action plan for Standard A1.19, which identified that for years 1 through 4 of the reaccreditation cycle, there was no process outlined for how students are notified of misconduct, how the adjudication is carried out, or how redress is considered and processed. On July 1st, 2021, the NPSTA updated their policy to address the issue, and the corrective action plan was closed out. At the conclusion of the assessment, the team found that the NPSTA met the requirements as outlined in the FLETA Procedures and Standards Manual. I am pleased to announce that the board has agreed to award accreditation to the NASA Protective Services Training Academy. Congratulations.
Thank you to everyone for those reports. Do we have any further business to discuss? Very good. As a reminder, for those of you that are attending the meeting virtually, please do send an email to Stephanie Archibald Massey of the Office of Accreditation so we can have a record of your attendance, even if you were only in attendance for part of the meeting. As this meeting starts to come to a close, I just wanted to thank everyone, for those of us who were able to join in person with the board members, those of you that are participating virtually. A huge thanks to the agency, accreditation managers, and everyone who prepared for their presentations to the board committees. I know a lot of work goes into that, so our thanks to you. I want to thank FLETA for hosting us and allowing us to use this facility. It's what enabled us to be back in person, so thank you for that. I also want to re-recognize the assessors and the team leads. So just as the agencies had to prepare, so did the assessors and the team leads that went on this. I want to thank the staff at TSA. It was with their assistance we were able to do a blended meeting, and also for the video that we'll watch here in just a little bit. I really appreciate their volunteer efforts on this. I also lastly want to give a huge thanks to the OA staff. It may not be visible to everyone watching, but there is a tremendous amount of prep that goes in to prepare all of us to look really good up here, and that is due to the OA staff and their efforts. So thank you from the board and myself. Thank you very much for that. After the board adjourns, we will move to the auditorium seats. We will broadcast the 20th anniversary video that we mentioned earlier, so please stay tuned to view that video as well. Thank you again for joining us today. May I have a motion for adjournment? Second? Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? The motion carries.
Madam Speaker, I rise today to pay tribute to the Federal Law Enforcement Training Accreditation Board, FLETA, as they celebrate their 20th anniversary on July 1st, 2022.
The FLETA board was established in the early 2000s at the direction of OMB. Essentially, they realized that the federal government was a little bit behind in the accreditation process, especially for law enforcement training. The board consisted of senior executives from across the federal government and also some public members as well. The board has grown in size since the initial board was established and currently resides at 28 members strong. It started actually with hundreds of standards along the way in the beginning. And currently, as we sit here today, program standards are down to 47 manageable standards, and academy standards are 44 manageable standards.
In this century, in industry and in government, independent accreditation of high-impact programs has become the rule, not the exception, and for good reason. In today's world, few things are more visible and sensitive than law enforcement operations. Independent accreditation of the law enforcement training programs that prepare officers to do their jobs is now an expectation of the people and the communities law enforcement serves, including the people and institutions that federal law enforcement protects. Law enforcement organizations that do not independently accredit their law enforcement training programs are at increased risk of having their stakeholders perceive their organizations as out of touch with the people they protect. Accreditation gives confidence to the officers that their official actions are proper and that their organization will defend them when they act within the bounds of their accredited training programs. Accreditation gives the agencies and the communities they serve confidence that the training their officers receive has been carefully structured to be in sync with their mission, their vision, and value.
The FLETA standards address every aspect of a training organization's operations, and they are written to support all federal training organizations despite the size, budget, or organizational structure. Being part of the FLETA community allows the VA and every participating organization input into the development and the revisions of the standards. This helps us ensure that we can meet the laws and regulations that govern our operations while also addressing the federal standard.
There are numerous benefits for a program and academy to be accredited, to include improved and consistent training quality, validation that training programs are developed, delivered, and reviewed by standardized processes, transparency and assurance, building of law enforcement alliances, and increased staff and student confidence and professionalism. The law enforcement agencies FLETC trains have the assurance that no matter how or where they receive FLETC training, it's consistent and has been designed and developed using best practices of law enforcement training to exceed standards and ensure public trust.
We have 52 different training organizations that do span the entire federal government. We have 16 academies accredited and 92 programs accredited.
I know that the FLETA's continual process of internal and external review may seem daunting to some agencies, but in today's environment, I believe it is what makes us better. Being part of FLETA helps us improve our training and how we train.
For an organization who does put in an application and leadership feels like it may be an easy process, I think that word easy might be a bit misleading. It will be a challenging process for that organization to get through because there will be thorough reviews of that organization's policies and evidence and procedures to ensure that they are following the FLETA standards themselves.
I had a few questions I would like to ask you guys about the program. I noticed in section 1.02, they talked about the coordination of the use of a wooded area. I wanted to ask if you could describe the location, the type of training you conducted, and what arrangement do you have with the Sheriff's Office that helps you provide that training?
We have a memo of agreement for use with the Sheriff's Office. They also provide some of our role players.
It's amazing to see the growth from when things started, when I joined in 2008, to where we are today. Processes have become more streamlined, standards have become more manageable and attainable. Personnel are excited about accreditation. The FLETA board is more in tune with accreditation and in tune with law enforcement training. Not that they weren't before, but it seems like the board gets smarter and smarter every year, which is exciting to see as well. So again, I'm just very excited about where we have been and just the growth and the maturity that FLETA has gone through over the past 20 years.